What a magnificent spoken word of the Torah. God sees the world and sees that everything is good. So, evil is not. And that is great because it is truth, and that everything is in order, and that everything is in perfection, and that everything that happens in your life and in life is just, and that there is justice, and that there is order, and that there is law, and it is goodness that governs. And of course, if man refuses goodness, then things will come. Until man understands that goodness is superior. Islam says, Allah the God of mercy. Buddha says, compassion. Compassion, mercy. St. John says, God is love. They all say the same thing. Love is an invitation to live with the laws of love. If you don't want to, then you are separating yourself from the laws of love, and God is good, and He will let yourself cut yourself off, but you will need to live the consequences of your acts. God speaks. He says through Moses, isn't it beautiful? He says the 10 Commandments, and it is a beauty. The 10 Commandments is a splendor, and it is immortal. Jesus, then he says the 10 spoken words of our Father that are in an absolute correspondences with these 10 Commandments. Absolute. It is a lie. Because it is not to hear what is heard. It is to be with it. That is the communication. Is to be. Compassion. Love. It is great. Mercy. What is it to be mercy? It is to see a being and to love him and to understand him and to be him. If you want to know something, you have to be one with it. You should not be enclosed in yourself. To be enclosed is to be handicapped. To be with others is happiness. The other is God in reality. The other is you. There is no frontier. It is human inventions. It's hypnotic. It's suggestions. A good suggestion will bring us to happiness, but we have nothing to invent. Everything is perfect. We have nothing to do in reality. We just have to awaken ourselves. The highest for man on earth is to learn how to sit. It is the highest. The one that knows how to sit on the earth, he'll know how to do everything, absolutely everything. It's not to agitate yourself. It's to be calm. The great kings know how to sit on the throne, and they govern because they are sitting. And all the beings that wanted to govern were sitting, because to sit is to be in accordance with the universe and not to be in discordance. Discordance is not welcomed because the beings have been in discordance systematically because they wanted to prove that they had an opinion and they existed. Why are you in a discordance? It's not the question. The question is to be in discordance. Because if I am in discordance, I am powerful. In an orchestra, what should you be? Accorded. But if you want to only hear us to only hear you, what should you be? Well, disaccorded. If you are disaccorded and dissonant, then you appear. That is the world of men. That's how we are educated. We teach us how to be dissonant, to appear to feel existing. In reality, we must disappear, and we must go into harmony. Mercy is not to appear. Greatness is not to appear. Greatness is to be with all beings. Mercy is to never feel superior to another, but it is to have love for the other until to be able to say the other is me. That's why I'm telling you that God blessed women like greatness, and that he put men to protect women. I know that now we don't want to hear this anymore, because there is an intelligence that wants to destroy women, because they are the greatness, because it is women that ultimately know all these secrets. They know that they are one with their child. And if women can do this, it's because we can do it much greater within a training, because what women live for a little bit of time yet, well, in reality, it is something that we can develop and develop. We must develop what brings good, and it's so simple, and we must stop. What does God say through Moses? He says something that is essential. He says, you will not steal. You will not steal. Of course, humans, if you don't steal, well, you don't care about humans. What does Moses say? Meaning it's not Moses that said this, it's God that said this. What does it mean to steal? It means to take what isn't yours. Because no man can steal if he doesn't have the stealer. And it will always be the egregore of stealing that will be greater than the one that steals. So, you will not take what isn't yours. It means what is yours and what isn't yours. There are the fundamental questions. What belongs to you and what doesn't belong to you? What belongs to you is what we cannot take from you. It's keys that can help. Meaning, what will always be yours? Well, your body, we can take it. I'm not even speaking of the exterior. The exterior will never be ours. Never. Today, the earth, we sell it. Who did this? The first that came. If humans went on another planet, meaning on the moon, outside of Hollywood, well, in reality, they would plant their flag and they would say that the earth belongs to us. That's what all the people did when they went into America and they conquered a new earth. The first thing they would do is plant their flag and say that it was theirs. But no, it's not really yours, because in that there is evil, conflict, poverty, and death. Look at the intelligence of humans who speaks through them. You will not steal, and look at how they have brought this in something that is so, look, we are stealers. That's what they're saying. God said you won't steal, but it's great. It means that I need to know myself. I need to know what is mine. Who am I? And what is for the other. And I should not take what isn't mine. It's not something, because God says this with the police. But God says, because he says this because he loves you. And if you identify yourself to what isn't yours and to bring what isn't yours, you will suffer. You will be unhappy, and you will be conducted into enslavement, because you will come out of yourself and you won't know who you are. And ultimately worlds will come and they will trap you, and man will be preoccupied and how am I should do this and for that, and he will entertain worlds that are not his, that will never be his. And in this, ultimately, well, he will lose everything, and he will be conducted into enslavement by forces and by worlds. you will live in accordance with your being, your profoundly. Everything that's on the exterior of us will never be ours. It's what is inside. It is what is inside that is ours. It is this life inside, and a life much, much greater, an intense life in the superior worlds. And then you must live in conformity with what you are, because the one that doesn't live in conformity with what he is, well, in reality, he will live how? He will live unbalanced. That's why the most beautiful thing is to be posed. And of course, it's meditation, to be calm, to be in silence. You know, many beings find their source because they start to garden. And as soon as we see that that beings want to resource themselves, you have a whole world that comes. Look, it's only taxes. Look at all of these things. Look, and all they want to take and want to steal, and what isn't theirs, and exist and bring chaos and bring dissonance all the time. And beings are there, and ultimately after to garden, then you have to have a whole world. But gardening is just to work the earth, because it is inside of you, and all of this will speak to you, and all of this came from nations. Yes, but the ancients aren't there anymore, so we go towards what? There's no transmission. Everything was done with spirits and genies, but now there's nothing anymore in this, because in the gardens there's not really spirits and genies. You're not grandfathers and beings that show you you're not a child. You're not it's not a natural life that is liberated and great. God doesn't want us to live on the earth. He wants us to come on the earth to prepare ourselves for something else. Can you hear me? It's terrible. And we're saying that we're there to live on the earth, and we need to profit. And we put a whole world in front of us that will never belong to us, that we'll never be able to attain, they will never be able to trap, and we'll always be unhappy, it will always be a service. And then we come out of this world, and we are in terror because we perceive that we've made a mistake and we're not prepared. We haven't opened the heart, we haven't cultivated anything, we haven't cultivated that wasn't ours. We have just taken care of something that doesn't belong to us, that will never belong to us, that haven't succeeded to obtain, because stealing will never produce anything. I'm not against being a stealer, but the problem in this is that it doesn't function, because you will never produce anything. You don't make appear anything. It is a world that can only live by destroying, because a stealer never does anything. He doesn't know how to produce, he doesn't plant, he won't appear anything. He comes and he takes what isn't his. It's against life, it's not productive. So at that moment there, it is destroyed. And the stealers will systematically come if man is not in his place, if man is not the true being that he is. So he will be natured. He will not be true, and at that moment where he's uncentered, unbalanced, he will look naturally to rebalance himself, and he will look for things everywhere. You have many examples of all these things, many. You see that the earth shakes and they have lost everything, their homes. Why do you want to die? Because I have nothing. Well, you had nothing. You have just perceived it, because really there was nothing before. It was nothing at all. It wasn't yours. And if it was yours, then no one could have destroyed it, because God is just. Not even in an earthquake, but it wasn't yours. Someone has AIDS and everyone listens to him. He's extraordinary. What do you have to say to us? I will die. Well, it's evident. You don't have to have AIDS like this. You can hit your head on a wall by slipping on a banana peel. I almost died in a bathtub. There. I put too much soap and I slept and I woke up underneath the water and I tried to come up, but it made me laugh. Said, no, I will finish in a bathtub because I had my feet in the air. It's funny, don't you find? There. I will reincarnate myself in egregore of hippopotamus. Say, there, Oliver, you must learn how to swim underneath the water. I said, well, there, it's done. Because I'll calm myself down. If not, if I battle, then it's done. And by accepting, well, simply, I rose. But if I had panicked, it is never agreeable to panic. Well, really, you have this spirit that is in today. So I rose. Calmness is the key of life. Calmness will always show you an opportunity there, hidden, and you will see it, and you will take it, and the chance will be with you. Chance is just a way of looking, and an education. You have an education that conducts towards chance, and you have an education that conducts towards what is it to be cultivated and educated. Is to develop bodies, organs of perception, and ultimately a way of living on the earth. After we make us believe things. You won't steal. Look at what it has become. It is scary. It is an ignorance and unconsciousness that is incredible. It's even worse. Is that it's stealers that say that you won't steal. It's normal. Oh no. Debate, and we're in a world where we don't support artists. Artistry is not well seen. What we want is great surfaces of pillage. Artisans in prisons are great, they're professionals at the government. So ultimately at the highest, even hidden behind, there's the world. And it's like this. And why is it like this? Well, because we don't look at things. We don't look at this. Look at just this spoken word. What is yours? What is yours? And what isn't yours? And if you don't live in accordance, profound accordance with your desires, then you are a slave. If you are not in plenitude, if you're not in serenity, if you're not in happiness, then you will be conducted into enslavement. Because God wants happiness, plenitude, serenity. That's what He wants. God, you will approach Him by plenitude and by the offering and not by discontent. If you go towards God to lament, then it will be worse. Complain. He will going to give you even more work on your behalf. Oh, well, you complain, it's good. Well, you can do better in the complaining. We're going to see where you can go. I'm telling you how He thinks. And there are even more. And when you say, well, God looks at the world and sees that everything is good, you stop and you center yourself again. You calm yourself down. You awaken, you see. And it's very complicated because we put all kinds of things inside of us. And you're going to see how to take care of family, to take care of others. Work is bliss. The seal of the archangels, money. Money is something. Because in reality, money, it's like a mystery. Money is God. It is really God. It's God Himself. It's something that is beautiful. It is a mystery. Money is very difficult to speak of it. It is something that is not supportable, of beauty, of magnificence. It's something that we cannot see, that we cannot touch. It is really the mystery. if you really want to know and approach this being that is God, then Jesus speaks of it, because he says faith. And money is really this being of faith. There. It is faith, money. It is a being of faith, but it is clean. It is cleanliness. It is property. It's always clean. This word of cleanliness is extraordinary, don't you find? It says many senses in only one word, because there's a word of notion of cleanliness, but there's a notion of being yourself. It is yours. I am clean and I know myself. There's nothing dirty, because there's nothing that isn't me, that doesn't belong to me. It's an honesty. Property is an honesty, but it's given by God. You must know what is yours, what isn't yours. It is fundamental. That knowledge is the fundamental base. If you don't have this, you will be weak. And if you are weak, you will be a service, because you will believe in things, because you will be put in an unbalance. And you will want to balance yourself again, so you will be ready to welcome everything that we say on the exterior, everything that we present to you. But it won't be you. Nothing can replace this you. What is there greater than you in reality? And value is you there. You permit me to try. It's not a subject that it really makes me passionate. I do all of this to be at the service of the Archangel. The Archangel speaks of a seal of money. Do you permit me? So, it is always a base, foundations, because it is in the eye. It is in the eye. The eye is something that is great, because the eye is really alive. Everything that you look at, that becomes. If you look badly, this will generate evil. And if you look well, this will generate good. The eye is alive. The eye is a creator. You can pose your eye on something and make this thing dirty, or you can put your eye on something and embellish it. I'm telling you that the being of money, it is a being that loves to embellish. It's a being of God. It is a sent being of God. It is a being that is mysterious, because this being, he fructifies everything. He makes everything brought into splendor, into greatness. But the problem is that when I say these spoken words there and that they come out, there is a whole world there that is an incredible power, incredibly. And it's millions of people in this moment that are working and offering themselves, giving themselves. They're ready to die. To not that they discover. We don't discover the secret of money. It's so hard to explain. It's so simple. There is an avidity. There is an avidity, a degradation, an asservishment, an enslavement, entertained and wanted. Enslavement has never been abolished. Enslavement has been multiplied. It has been called money, and it's just this. And these beings have been serviced by superior intelligence of evil. But God looks at the world and sees everything is good. But yes, everything is good. Everything is good when you are intelligent, when you are well constructed. Everything is good, but when you're not intelligent or not well constructed and you're not in tradition, then you have a lion that will attack an elephant. Well, I can guarantee you that not everything is good, but it won't happen it won't last very long. He will be massacred because he shouldn't do it. And the elephant will say no. You're going to see an elephant and a lion will not hit. There's things that you can do and there's things that you can't do. There's places where you can go and there's places where you cannot go. And it cannot be discussed. If you want to try, then it won't last very long because you're going to be digested. Do you understand the difference between living on the earth and inside of a boa or a crocodile because you've been eaten and that you're always alive inside? Look at the life of certain people. They're in gastric sugars. They're being digested. Do they have the reason to complain? They shouldn't visit these places in Alaska. You should not enter into these places. You should not believe that everything is permitted. Do you see the foolishness of the world of men? They think that nothing will happen because there's a world that protects them. Well, come on. That is really not animus. Nothing can protect part that you know what is yours and what isn't yours. You know what you need to do. You know why you are on the earth. And there, of course, you will be protected. There's many things that you're not even going to look at because you know that it will never be yours. It doesn't belong to you. So it is like a body of wisdom. So we won't come out of it. God did the world in this way. He put minerals there, minerals everywhere, below, above, everywhere, everywhere, cosmos, everywhere. You have stones that fly, you have planets, universes, you have lights, you have the air, you have the stone there, you have the stone here, and we're all enveloped in stone. If there was a ray of light, we would see dust, all kinds of matter in suspension. We are in stones. We raise our head and we see stones and stars that glow. Everywhere there is stones. And then he put plants. And then he put the animals. And there he put man. He put the angels, the archangels, and the gods. And this is only one being. One being. It's not separated. It is one being. Only one world. That's what he did. And it is a perfection. And man is in the middle, like the heart. And man needed to be the intermediate of the worlds. That's his task. And in this world there, well, he is posed on an earth that he must nourish and digest. Look, everything is written. It is a book. It is the will of God. It's not in the Quran or the Torah or in the Gospel. It's not in the books. It is in the great book of nature, of the universe, of everything that envelops us, inside of us. You must know how to read, and you must know how to write. Because what you write will come. That is the law. So, God said, there's things that you will eat, and there's things that you won't eat. And it's not because these things you won't eat that they are negative. You will just take what you need in all the worlds. Because inside of the world of men, there is many worlds. It's not to nourish only the body. You have to nourish all the stages of the being in man. Man doesn't need many things to live on the earth. Because the exterior world will never make you happy. Uniquely you. Because when you are happy of something, it's because it touches you inside. And it's always inside that is happy, never the exterior. You can be happy of an event because this event applies on centers inside of you that makes you happy because it touches you. But in reality, it's you that is more important than all the rest. And that being inside, what he wants is to go towards the superior worlds and to accomplish his task. And there you have serenity, peace, calmness, clarity, and it's incredible, huge. So God did like this. He said man should go towards the angels and honor the angels and sublimate all these worlds. That's what he said. Then there was here egregores, genies, and spirits, and he created an entire world. He created fundamentals, meaning fire, air, water, and the earth, the minerals. All around man, he created centers. And he made this to go towards the subtle, from what is heavy towards what is subtle. And in reality, he put worlds of garbage, of recycling, with the stones and the plants. And look at the perfection of it. It is a perfection of a superior intelligence that manifests itself. And man is the only one that is capable of seeing this perfection, of understanding it, and understand the sense of existence. Man, God put inside of man an immortal man and a mortal man. And he said, you will limit the mortal and you will make the immortal rise. And you will go towards what is immortal and what is greater than death. Because by doing this, you will ennoble the beings, the worlds, and liberate them and give nourishment to beings that are greater. Like the plants, the minerals offer to the plants, and the plants offer to the animals. And like the animals, the plants and the stones needed to offer exile to men to rise towards the angels, that they brought the archangels, the great laws, and ultimately made appear what God wants, the gods, divinity, the gods, splendor, greatness, honesty, purity. If you abdicate God, then instantaneously the worlds that don't have an existence, because what man did here is that he said, we don't care of the angels if it can give us interest. So we're going to say there's guardian angels that protect us because it reassures us, because we just do anything. So we have to have a blessing because it can work. It is like lottery. We can do this, but we don't really care. They are at our service. And all these worlds, they are at our service. And what we want is to profit. Because you understand that when a man abdicates his being from within, he becomes empty. And there, he calls beings that should not exist. Because God said, man will be posed on the earth, and ultimately with the sky. God said, peace governs. Peace governs. But the opposite of peace, meaning war. War sleeps. War is in the non-manifested. That's what the serpent said yesterday. I am in you all the time. What is it? Meaning it is your vitality. If you conduct me towards, I will appear like destruction. But if you conduct me towards wisdom, I become the serpent of wisdom. Wisdom is from God. No man is wise, okay? It's only the angels. And foolishness should not be manifested. And for it to not be manifested, we protect ourselves. We put organs, we educate ourselves. To speak of education is just this. It's just to do this. That's what it is to educate beings. It's not what we see today. What we see today at the limit doesn't even interest us. That's what the archangel said. So, why would man make war? Because he wants to exist by himself and take something that isn't his. It's only that. And why doesn't he want to take something that isn't his? Because he doesn't have a soul anymore. He is no longer alive by the superior worlds. He is dead. He doesn't know who he is anymore. And at that moment, he's going to look on the exterior of himself, what he doesn't have inside of him. And that being, that man, is going to see that he can have power, strength, because these worlds will come. And they're going to detest him, hate him. And why are they going to detest him? Because he's a traitor, because he's not loyal to God, to himself, to his patronage, to his ancestry. So they're saying that we're going to really destroy his head, and we're going to really destroy his life, because he's not doing the will of God, because he awakened us and they enter inside of it, and it is war, and peace leaves and the alliance is broken. The ones that suffer in this are the children, meaning that everyone doesn't care of, because it's really hypocrisy. Is what we're going to say, that we're not honest? Well, yeah, yes, what is the problem? We are who we are, and no one's going to judge us. But if you don't look at things how they are, well, you won't be able to rise. So in reality, you have to have this base. You have to understand this base, that war is illegal. Point final. Because it's illegal, we can't do it. We need then a conversation with war, and understand what is war, and understand exactly what is peace. And man must direct himself towards peace and not towards war. It must become undiscussable. It needs to become this, because war is not beings with arms. It starts in our families, and even starts with ourselves. We are in a war with ourselves. We're not in accordance with ourselves. There's a part of us that leaves with another part of us. We are not unified. So it is a whole work there. This is a key, an absolute one. It is an absolute truth. It is like a key that permits you to understand the world in even situations and things. Money in this is something that you cannot see on the earth. You cannot see it, because it is something that is really spiritual. What happened? You have beings that started to make appear marvelous things like wheat. You have to understand that wheat, when it appeared on the earth, it was a revolution. And that in reality, the one that brought wheat were religious beings. It was another time, meaning that you had religion. I spoke of this. And you have science, meaning culture, government, politics. You have the social, all the relationships between beings. You have, of course, economy, what permits to do exchanges, what permits to rise, to bless, to grow. And you have your daily life. It was only one being. It wasn't divided. There was not on one side religion, on the other side government. It's stupid to think like this. It's stupid. How do you explain this? It's false. There's not on one side something that is social or economy or your daily life. So I have a religion, I go to church at the mosque and all of this, and there I'm religious, and when I'm in my daily life I do all the contrary. Then on the other side I belong to a government. So look at this story of the veil of the Muslims. Well, who cares that they're veiled? Well, let's stop. Let us do what we want. But it's like fanatism. It's like a sickness. We can dress how we want to. There, that's all. And what is all this delirium? It doesn't look at us as it's something that is in our private life. No one can tell us how to dress or undress. It goes far, but the sickness is great. So what are these beings? Understand that it's a time where it was united. You mean it was the golden age. These beings brought wheat by science, by the social side, for an economy, and for a daily life, happy and full of dignity. Why? Because it is God. Even they spoke of the cow. Oh, the cow is something we say it today. Oh, the cow. Oh, the cow, God. God. Milk, butter, cream. It's Norma that speaks. Look, it is an economy. So they said to themselves, I want this. I need it, but I can't have it. So, what is it worth? Well, it's worth 3 cows, for instance. Or it's worth so much wheat. And they said that the wheat had value. And they started to serve this value, to use it, to exchange between them. I give you this, you give me this. And a being appeared. And this being, he would say the value. What is this being? Oh, he's beautiful. Don't you find that he's beautiful? Try to look at him. I appreciate. Don't you find that it's important to appreciate? Look, I don't appreciate anything. I don't taste anything. Oh, I live. Nothing has interest. Nothing exists. Nothing has a value, really. I appreciate the air. I appreciate the sun. I appreciate. Say the value, but it is precious. Precious it is. Can't be estimated. So they started to do this. And after very softly they made appear this being, and notably the great kings, and there they took things like gold, money, the metals, and also, what is it worth? Well, this is not worth anything. Who says that it's worth something? But faith. I don't know if I'm saying has a sense, but I'm really conscious that I am not in the right time period. What do you want me to say? If we go towards God and we look for this, then that's how it happened. It is faith. What is faith? It is life from within man in his cleanliness, with all this mystery of this world of cleanliness, of property, of being, of splendor, of greatness, to be a soul, to be an immortal being, to speak with the angels, to bring goodness, richness, economy. Economy is goodness. It's a blessing. It's not to hurt anyone. It's my good. It is my own good. Do you hear me? It is value. Who says this value? Who gives it? Who says value? Who says how much it's worth? It is love. It's God, it's great. It's respect. It's how much is respect worth? Say it. How much is it worth? There is an unhealthy side to it. It's like conduct a beauty in perversion, like a joy of degradation. What is this joy of degradation, of degrading? It's a world of recycling, meaning a world of in decomposition. It's not video games. No, it's not video games. It's real. They're trying to not make it real, trying to make it far because they're passive. It's not human beings. There's no honor in war. Their uniform is dirty. That's what I think. I have no estimate for this uniform with there's films of Hollywood where they value their being. There's no honor in all of this. There. You have my point of view. It's not a point of view of an angel. The angel, for them, it doesn't even exist. I would like to go towards the angels and live with the angels, but I have to put you in an environment, because when we see all these foolishnesses that are told with these films that are incredible, with uniforms, where they put an honor in this. These people have crushed people. They've killed women and children. May they hit each other with their fists. There's an honor, not with armor that kill at the distance, all that with satellites and all of this. What is this? You think that is equitable? No. To hit each other with our fists, there I respect more. We hit each other with our fists, and there it can happen because we've done things that we have to take care of. There's no winner in war, because only God is victorious. You know when God is victorious? When it is just, and there's no one that loses. And there you recognize God. No one is crushed. It's God. Because God ennobles all beings and conducts everything into perfection. He is splendor. It has nothing to do with this. So these beings started to put value. And then they started to become great kings, because you have to understand that these kings were gods at the base. So they put their face on the gold to guarantee by the king, meaning it was faith. At the beginning, the taxes were only for the temples, because you needed to make God alive by the fruits of the earth to bring an ennoblement. It's one of the most beautiful works of Buddha. It is the bowl, where the expression noble, nothing falls. So it was the bowl, and all the beings that worked gave to make the beings that went towards the superior worlds live, to bring a blessing. If the priests are no longer in purity, then it's all the system that will fall. Because if you don't have purity of the link with the superior worlds, then you have all these beings that will come out of the earth and will want to possess you and will want to enter inside of you. What happened? There was this money, but it was kings. Is it positive? Well, yes, because it materialized the invisible. It materialized the good, richness, exchanges, sharing, communication, commerce. You have seen, they said, equitable commerce. It's so heavy, their story. It would mean that there was an equitable commerce, and then the other side it wouldn't be, but all the commerce is equitable. Commerce is in itself is economy, exchanges, it's everything that is beautiful. I produce something and I offer it, and in reality it will circulate. And if you go in India, well, it's magnificent, because in India there's not really electronic money or checks. It really money that goes from hand to hand. Liquid money is from Gabriel. It's better than virtual money. There, I can't say it, but you just have to read in my thoughts. Money that passes from hand, you know where it goes. If not, then you don't. There. and it makes a proximity. It creates connections and contacts. It's only happiness, don't you find? Then, well, very softly, royalty fell. You had the Cathars on the earth. That is a moment that is determining in this story of this time that we've lived. It is worldly. The Cathars was a splendor on the earth, a marvel. Christianity, to bring beauty, to bring the angelical world. The Cathars really were in the holes of Ariège. They renounced everything. It's because they awakened the spirit worlds inside of them, and they were in a felicity inside of them. It was happiness. It was like a garden of delight. It was pure love, and it had an influence. And Occitanie, where was the Cathars, flourished. And what do we see? The commerce was intense. Meaning, as soon as you have the light, you have richness that appears, because there's faith, because there is enthusiasm, because there's the good laws, because there's liberty, because ultimately we can commerce, because richness is happiness, it's sharing, it's love, it is greatness. It is God in reality that appears. These beings came and they eradicated, they killed. It is a genocide, a genocide. So before knowing the genocide in Amanique, they have to recognize their own genocide here. Then there was the Templars. And then there was the great calamity, the French Revolution. It is in the world. It is completely in the world. The French Revolution is an abomination. It is, how to say this, it is a husband that is alcoholic, and a wife that is a prostitution that sells her children, the organs of his children. That is the French Revolution. It is the great sickness. It is the malediction of all malediction. It is something that is ignoble. The moment where there was the French Revolution, there was Napoleon Bonaparte that came in. War everywhere. War, without stop war. At that moment with Napoleon, the war started to come. It never stopped, and their beings took money. So they started to say, because we needed to finance it, so they started to say, understand well what I'm saying here. The archangel doesn't speak of it, and he said there's no problem. I'm saying it so that you can understand, and that you can stop to complain, and that to ask even more and more enslavement. These beings took money. How did they do this? Well, it's a superior intelligence of sickness. It is really an intelligence. These beings said, because you have to understand that everything that is negative in life always comes from the light. And in reality, because these beings in the dark have no intelligence and no existence by themselves, the only thing that they can produce and do is a dissonance. It is their power. But they cannot create a harmony, because to create a harmony, you would have to go towards superior worlds. But they don't want to go towards superior worlds. They want to exist, but they don't have their own existence. But to exist, they are obligated to steal. It is to man to not to make them appear, because when he does, these beings want to live. So they will want to continue to live, and they don't have another meaning to be able to serve, another means but to a service man. So their unique goal is to service him. Once it's clear, is it negative? No, you just simply let them be. How did they do this? Well, they saw what the Cathars did because the Cathars showed them. And so they took it for them. They always do this. It's incredible. Love comes and tells us what we must do. We don't want it. So the darkness takes the teachings of the light and realizes it. And there we're in accordance. Because darkness have this is ingenious, and that they say we're going to do the work for you. And that love always says, you need to do the work. What did the Cathars do? The Cathars were so honest that people had money on them, gold, because at the time it was like this. So they would go one place to the other. It was before the radars, so you could lose everything on the road. So to protect themselves, they would say, there, give me your gold, your money, and I will give you a paper with my signature, a recognition that you gave me this money, you loaned me this money. You travel, the brigades come you, and here is my paper. It has no value. The paper has no value. They won't want this, so you won't be able to lose anything. So when you come to the other town, you go see a Cathars and you give him the paper. He will see that he's a Cathar that signed, and he'll give you the gold. But how does that work? Well, it works by confidence, by honesty, by purity. Do you see the spirit that comes? Well, make a false paper. Do you see? Right away, he comes. But if I do that, then I break everything. I make darkness come, and the system based on honesty and purity won't function anymore. Do you hear? Do you hear how it's idiotic, how it's simple, how we live that every day? It's this question of education, and that we can be brought towards enslavement because this being says, make yourself a false paper. You think that you're going to have something good and you're going to win something, but you have lost already, my friend. Yes, I won things, but that doesn't belong to you and will never belong to you, and that you'll lose everything. And when you will die, you won't have anything anymore. And even before you have nothing, all your war will be degraded. Yes, but I will live. You're going to live in dissonance. So go and explain this now, because it's the entire world that has entered underneath. Well, there's going to be all kinds of work. So there the Cathars did that. So it took all kinds of time for the intelligence to say, we're going to put money in the bank, a reserve of gold, and we're going to give paper. And we're going to say that this paper has value. Faith. People didn't believe in it at the beginning. So what is paper? We want something that is real. Gold. It's not more real. It was faith, but in real. Even today, gold has a phenomenal power. So they tried it, and there's a moment while they succeeded. And they started to put papers everywhere. And you had that paper, you could go in a reserve, you would ask the gold, and we'd give it to you. And there's a moment where they said then, the paper is no longer in correspondence with gold. And you can't have gold with paper. So how much is the paper worth? Well, the gold we don't care, but that is their reason, is the great wars. These wars, why did they happen? For that. It's not at all people that wanted to take territory. It's not at all. They wanted behind to establish a system for banks and to take care of the seal of money. And for this they made wars, because what they want is power. And when you see a being that is filled with avidity, like a vampire, a monster really ultimately, a demon, well, this being, you think that he's going to take care for 10,000 people that will die to come to his goal. He doesn't care. What is the value of human being? 0. What is the value of the soul? 0. We don't care about animals either. What we want is something, a power of the soul, of faith, that we love each other, that we take and come into this world and we take the place of God. So what did they say in reality, these beings? They said, well, there is gold and money. Well, there's no gold and it's the paper. Well, who guarantees this paper? Well, it's the state. That's what they did. The state guarantees the value of paper. And there recently, the state doesn't guarantee it anymore. Okay? So I'm explaining this to you. I want to buy a home. In reality, it's already a bad idea, because a home, you need to construct it with your friends, but the problem is that it's illegal. Why? Why? For your security. So I'm stupid, or my grandfather was stupid? No. To each your work. You have to do what we tell you what to do. It's not good to cultivate your garden, and even more, like natural water is illegal. I can guarantee you. Why? Because it's not controlled. We didn't put anything. It's not worth anything. Like the rabbits, like nature. They poisoned the rabbits. Why? TVA, value that is added to the rabbits, meaning taxes. You buy a home that is worth 100,000 euro. You don't have it. You go to the bank, because here you see it is individual, and here it is universal. Meaning here you are in your body and you make experiences, but when you're going to die, you're going to lose your body. And ultimately, to lose your body is like that you will go turn your vest over, or it's like exactly to do this experience, and the vest is on the exterior, and at the end you find yourself on the inverse of what is right, and what you saw in your point of view that came towards you and you went towards it. Well, ultimately it is the universe that you look at the point of view of the universe. It is completely different as a vision. You only see things in which you were in affinity with, and money is the same thing. You're going to see your banker. You say, well, I need a loan of 100,000 euro. And he says, why? To buy a home. Oh, it interests him. Because a home, he has a guarantee on it. They love that. And then he's going to say, give me a guarantee. You're going to start to give him things. And then he's going to say, okay, I'll give you your loan. Because he has instructions. Really doesn't care about the guarantee. Because he doesn't care if you reimburse or not. Okay? And then he says, I'm going to apply a rate of interest. I'm giving you 100,000, you give me 200,000. Oh yes, it's a little bit like that, okay? Let us stop the 4% and all of that. So ultimately, what happens? Do not lose of everything that I said before, okay? How do they do this? The banker. How does he give you 100,000? He has 100,000. Where does he have it? Well, he has it because people put money, so he takes the money of others to give it to me. It's like a game. No, it's not at all like that. So he has money in a general bank with gold. No, not at all. So how does he do this? Well, it's very simple. It's so simple that it's incredible. It's Christians. It's faith. It's multiplication of the small bread. Do you know how they do this? They take your our account, there's nothing. And he puts 100,000. There, it's done. Yes, but where is it? nowhere. He just wrote down 100,000. It's not possible. Yes, because there's no reserve, gold reserve, that the money is not worth anything anymore. So a banker just have to write 100,000 and I have 100,000? Yes. That's what is money. Yeah, but there's something that's not going right. It's not possible, something like this. Yeah, that's what it is, money. Money is what is invisible, that gives a value to things. It is God, ultimately. That is God, okay? I touch 100,000. Is that system good? Yes. Look, I touch 100,000 that have been created. I let it come out. I have my loan. Already there's a joy. When reality is in a scene, it's not a good joy. It's like to have gotten a little bit of alcohol in the system. It's like a copulation. It's a little bit of particles that excite you. So I come home, I'm happy, I invite all my family to the restaurant. I go to the restaurant, I pay with money that didn't exist 10 minutes ago. But now it's there and it transforms itself in pizza, and the restaurant is happy. His employees is happy. Money circulates. Money comes into the social side and makes people happy because it circulates. And that people can live with it. And ultimately this money is going to multiply by passing from hand to hand and bringing happiness. Where is the problem? It's not to create money in this way, because if it's mastered, it's great, it's ingenious. The problem is that it is the 100,000 that of the interests. That's because in reality it's not true what I told you. The banker, he hasn't just taken the money from anywhere. He took it from where? He took it from you. Meaning ultimately it is your money. It's you. It is your soul. Because ultimately your soul has money. And it is your engagement. Do you hear me? Your engagement to reimburse it and to work for him for 10 years. You belong to him. You have given yourself to him, and you have signed a pact, an alliance, by engaging yourself to reimburse him, or either to be taken away. And he takes this paper, and he archives it. And there, he comes from nothing. Are you hearing me? From nothing. Of you, of your soul, of what we don't see in you, God. From your spirituality, from your soul, from what animates you. He comes and he just created $200,000. And he just put it and he archived it. And there he goes towards superior worlds. And he says, I have a soul. It's worth 200,000. And there he starts to, how do you call this? How to play, starts to, how do you call that? Speculation on you, on your capacity of reimbursing. He speculates. It's not money that comes from work. It's not money that comes from production. It's just, I don't know how to explain this. It's incredible that humans accept this. It's like in Quebec, we've been just done. It can't be more. And we call this social gaiety. It's really, we're in it. It is the tunnel of Mont Blanc. It is underneath. They're putting tunnels everywhere. They're looking for treasures. It's enterprises, there is a little bit the idea. So it is your engagement. It's you that has value. It's still beautiful. But as soon as you've reimbursed your debt, the money that the banker had created disappears. So the banker loses. He doesn't have it anymore. The banks are rich from the debt, and they're poor when you reimburse them because they have to just destroy the paper and give back the soul, because when you're in debt, they're rich. The problem is that you're reimbursed $200,000. You want to sell your home again, it's $200,000. Someone buys it, $200,000. And someone else buys it, it's $400,000. Where did these $200,000 go? They disappeared. The $200,000 that you reimbursed to the bank, they disappeared, okay? Do you understand a little bit how it functions? It is faith. If there's no faith anymore, all of this system will fall. And who guarantees faith? State. Let us speak of the state. What is a state? It is a government, ultimately a government. He governs, and they replace the kings that were the name of God. And they said, we don't need God, it will be in the name of the people. So in reality, they're the representation of the mass. So they have a capital. That is you. The banker has a capital, and you have to push the door and you have to ask him a loan. But the state, it's an obligation. You must have a number. And ultimately, as soon as you have a number, there's a paper. And there they do magic. They said this person needs to do this and this. That's why he has an education. Because you have to go straight. Because in reality, you have what do they do? It's completely delirious. Have you seen the power of the bank? The state has this power also. The state, what he does is that he's the one that fabricates the money and guarantees it. He fabricates as much money as he wants to. As much money as he wants to. But these beings, by war, by all these revolutions and these wars, they have taken this power of the kings and of the states in the name of God to be able to take all of this for them and try to stop the states from producing their own money and obligate the states to loan money to banks, to funds of investments like AXA Insurance Alliance, your insurance companies, mutual funds there to guarantee you the security, take money and gives it back with interest to the state that is us. And all of that disappears. There's no control anymore. France is indebted 2,000 million euros. Any woman or man of a family would be imprisoned. How do they do this? They go see these banks. Here it is universal, okay? And there they say, well, I have so many individuals with a capacity, so loan me money. So they give us a loan like a good, and they give guarantees, and then it becomes, is the states that govern? No, it's these beings, and where they are, no one knows them because we can't speak of them. And they have mass finances. Do you understand that money has been usurped? Do you understand that this system can only function in war? Do you understand that it's so well done in fear of lack, fear of not having, a fear of losing, a fear of dying, that at the end the beings say, more taxes, more taxes. Do you understand that we believe that taxes is to pay schools, roads, hospitals, it is false. Taxes is just stealing and pillage that is organized to be able to finance worlds that are occult, even more esoteric than the Essenes, and even more occult than the Essenes. And in reality, to go towards this, and there's a pressure that is put. Even the states are noted. You have notes that are given by a financial organization that looks at the credibility of the states, and then come and tell them you have to do this, that reform, and say that in reality that is these worlds that govern, meaning that chief of states will govern. Well, it's completely an illusion to be able to think that way. We are in a system that makes beings come out that conducts the world in enslavement. Look, how is the house going to cost at the end? 4,000? Million? Bread? 1 million? Oh, it doesn't touch me. I'm not paying taxes. Oh, yeah? And all these beings that we make the taxes rise, all nourishment, everything becomes even more expensive. Work is more expensive. So there's less work. And at the end, then why do we have the great surfaces and all of this? Then ultimately, because it's controlled. So all of that will leave the small artistry. It's not humanitarian. It's just to nourish worlds that govern in a tyranny and that enslaves people. And how do you think it's going to finish? Well, there's a moment. There's going to be so much inflation. It will be so much that there will be a crisis and it will be a war. And when you're going to see this system, it can only function by war, destruction, and killing, an obligation. The finality of this, it is a destruction, because at the end, this system constructs towards destruction. So it's stopped by God. Torah and Koran stops this. You are not allowed to loan to your brother or to a stranger and to win money on money. Money belongs to God uniquely. It is faith, it is happiness, it's beauty, it's greatness. Work is sacred. Health is sacred. We are in Panama. $2 a consultation. It is stealing. The debt, security, social security is just pillage that is organized. Finally, that you needed to hear these things. If you don't come out of the world that is organized by men, if you don't take your life in your own hands, if you don't recuperate your faith, you will enter into these systems, and these systems will degrade you. Because these systems degrade. Is sad to say this, but it's like this. So Oliver, we must change everything? No, you must learn how to dance. You learn that dance is very important. You must, before he's going seeing your banker, you have to bathe in olive oil. And you must be awakened and concentrated. And you must know what you want. And you must know how to say no and yes. And you must know what you want. No? Then, how can we do this? Because it's not easy, because we're not clairvoyant. Understand me well. To be clairvoyant is not to see an angel. It has nothing to do with it. We can see an angel and be completely an idiot. To be clairvoyant is to see clear in all the worlds. In all the worlds. But we're not clairvoyant, so you have the gospel. So when you want to know something, you arise in front of the statue of benevolence and of recycling. Because the world, the dark world, loves beings that are honest, true, sincere, that loves God or not, okay? You have to be honest. The beings that do this are really honest, meaning that they are really beings in this perfection. There's no cell inside of them that's not a cell of escrow. They cannot even conceive that a superior world of divinity exists. I remember one time we were in contact with one of these beings in the invisible worlds, a great shift that had formed Adolf Hitler. It was very good in that system, and it participated into it well. when the angels came, what he said was, it's rare to see good magicians to make appear the angels. Meaning that when the angel came, he believed that we had fabricated him and that it was an illusion. And listen, I know it's complex what I'm saying, okay? He could not conceive that an angel could move. For them, that world is dead. We won't speak of it anymore. No one will be able to have contact with the superior worlds. It's not allowed by law. And they closed all the doors. And their goal, when they saw an angel, and he said, it's really rare to see men that are capable of creating an illusion like this. So they're much in their lie that they cannot believe that truth exists. And that they look at the world only through their eyes. And that they're persuaded that to be in the truth and to do all of this for power, for humanity, for them is only like a cow. They should be a service because they are abducted. They're incapable of deciding. We should do everything in their place. We need to protect them because they're incapable of taking their life into their own hands. And they organize everything like we organize the chickens and they'll all go there. They think like that. And they think that it's normal to service them. And it's for their good. Just like a mother that's going to think that she should take care of her child with her smartphone because he will just make a mistake. We have a right to make mistakes. We don't have. Can you believe that we wouldn't have the right to make a mistake anymore? No, you don't find that it's normal to do this when we're young? When are we going to do them if we don't do them when we're young? Who said that it was not allowed to play and to make mistakes? Who said this? Where we don't have a right? We're really in surveillance. There you're in the toilets, public toilets, and I peed on the floor a little bit. Oh, beep, beep, beep. Lick that. No, there's cameras everywhere, worlds everywhere. It has to be completely like this. Well, that is dangerous, don't you find? No, it's scary, really. But really, it is. Really, come in Panama. Panama is a time machine. You find yourself 60 years before. If you go by plane, you are 60 years behind. You are like in the past. It's not the future, it's the past. Oh, it's beautiful, really. It's going to follow the rhythm, but it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. There, I hope that. So it is a debt. And ultimately, it's a pillage. If there wasn't this usurper, we could all create richnesses, to have governments, to create richness and to live in happiness without a servicement. And very simply, with the angels, I don't know if I can make myself understood. It's a domain of faith. If you recuperate your faith, then no one can stop you. You will take your life into your own hands. And there's nothing that is evil. There's no violence. There's nothing to recuperate things and everything that you owe me. We don't care. We go towards a new world. We're at zero. We have the right to have our homes. It's the right to have work. And ultimately, there's no problem at all. And there's no problem. None. On the earth. If we don't bring these inferior worlds and if we go towards an education. So a man not been given to have access to this knowledge, but for us, it has been given to have access to it. So in reality, we have to start to work on ourselves, to come out and to start to look. Is it really me? Is it really my being? Is it me that wants this? And I have to come out of this enslavement because God doesn't want me to be a slave. And ultimately, I need to organize my life to have what I want. But is it really me that wants these things? And then ultimately, you have to be in the intelligence, even to see the ruse. You need to be prepared. Prepared. When you're going to meet a being, say to yourself that your auras will be interpenetrate themselves. And there's going to be a communion and an exchange. Do not let yourself be convinced when you want something. Be prepared. Do not hesitate. Conquer. There is my counsel. Conquer. And if you really want something, then vivify it. I made mistakes in my life. Now, with a step back, I see it. I was not well instructed. I was not well trained. And that's what it is. The age we start to look. And what are we? We're trained with the education that we receive, and we act with these things. I really needed to reconstruct many things inside of me. How could I have done if there was a superior world? It's impossible. Come on. I would have followed the path that I would trace. I would not even have asked myself a question. It's incredible to be able to meet with a spiritual master like Peter Deneuve or Umram or Rouge Steiner. It's immense, everything that he has brought, this man in purity, because you really have men in purity. They were at the service of a tradition that is eternal and immortal. And it was not human beings, really. It's reincarnation of ancestral traditions that brings a knowledge that resuscitates it. These beings have opened great doors on the earth. And if they hadn't been there, we wouldn't be there. It is a continuation. There's nothing to be isolated. It's always something that is universal. There's always a dimension somewhere that is universal. And I'm saying it now. If you understand well what I'm saying, money has no power. And it doesn't want it. And if you want to have power of money, money will destroy you, because in reality, you can't do anything with money. It's you. It's your life from within. It's your faith. It's your being. What is faith? Faith is the union of your will, of the heart, of your thought with a superior world. To have faith, first you have to have confidence. That's what they do. Confidence. And they pose all of this on a confidence, but it's hypnosis, confidence of the world of men. No, of what is real, the earth, what is eternal and immortal. So you have to awaken this light inside of you. You must know what belongs to you, and you must know what you want, not simply with your body, because your body wants things, but you must be generous. You must give it to him. And you have to stop him from doing just anything. If he wants to have things that brings destruction, and you say no, and you explain to him, and you must ultimately nourish all the stages of your being and make appear the light inside of you, because all of this system functions on our faith. If we take away this faith from the system, it's not worth anything anymore. Nothing, zero. But we will turn ourselves towards what? If this system would fall, that I don't wish, okay, well, what would we turn towards right now? You would do massive constructions in Terra Nova. You would go refuge yourself there. I can guarantee you. If it would have all fallen, you would all go running to Terra Nova and be welcomed, of course. And what would we do? Well, we'd construct. No? And we'd ask ourselves questions. No, you would construct, that's all. Why? Because it's evident. No? And after, what we would do, we would grow vegetables. And we'd have cows and it's not that bad, isn't it? We did have our clothing, and maybe we would be happy. And we would do that like this, and we would pray, and we would construct our temples, and there we'd have 2 or 3 problems to nourish our newspapers and a few false things, and we would do it on purpose to laugh. There would be journalists and people. Someone did like this at night. I saw him. I have proof. And there we see Photoshop underneath. And there, everyone would be happy because we would know everything is false in this, and it would make us laugh to see a little bit of something that is false. The real values would be the chickens. That has value. The cows, the animals, the earth, the vegetables, the art of cooking, all of a sudden the grandmothers would be at the angels because they would cook and make cakes. There, my friends, I would like to conduct you towards happiness. I would like to awaken you. Archangel says that all of this is perfect, and that men have what they merit, and that if men want another vision, another world, they just have to do it, and everything is open. And there the song was there, God looks at the world and sees that everything is good. But God said, no evolution. It's sad sometimes when I see men that they say the economy is going to rise again. It means that you're going to be taken twice as much, no? When they're waiting that it rises again. And as soon as it rises, it came up. There's no evolution. There's none. There's only an economy always there, omnipresent, and this economy is stable. It's the economy of God. There's no fear. There's no fear. There is a confidence, a dignity, a beauty, a respect. There are sacred laws. And when you conduct a being into enslavement, you will be conducted into enslavement. Final. If you exploit the earth, you will be a service and exploited. If you pollute a being, you will be polluted. That is the law. Point. If you do it to another, we will do it to you even more until you awaken and you understand how you must live on the earth, because the earth is a school, a teaching to give birth to God. And the ones that have really understood the message to live on the earth, they make appear God. And that illuminates the worlds. And that is greater than death, fear, and all these things. So we will live without fear, without obscurity. And there's the message. It is a marvel. We have given birth to a marvel, all of us. You approach the gospel, you read, you have your answer. No? It is incredible. And you will know exactly what you need to do. And when you're going to go see someone, you read the gospel and you keep a passage in front of you and you vivify it. I'm surprised really how it functions. So I go see someone, I read a passage from the gospel, I keep it inside of me. It's exactly what I needed to say to the person. And everything happens because you have to have what you want. There's no problem. It's faith. Is it clear? It is your life from within. If you want something, vivify it first in the invisible worlds. I wanted the Essene villages. Are you hearing me? I wanted them, really, with determination and strength. Are we in accordance with this? I constructed homes. The more they said not to construct, the more I did. That's the truth. I was in front of the armory. You constructed a home again. I would say, no. Look, I did it great so that everyone can see it, the whole valley. And you see, no one does that. You have to be completely idiotic. No, it's true. Starts to doubt. He doesn't want to let me go. Go see your chief and bring him back. Go. I insist. Do you want a candy? Be invading. And brings his chief there. Sir Chai, how's it going? Explain to him he doesn't understand for hours. Explain to him I construct homes permanently, yes, and that I hide them. Do I hide them? I don't hide them. Yes, well, search, he hides them. Did I hide that one? So we're in accordance on this. Well, there. We're in accordance. Good. Bye. So I wanted them. Do you see? So you see that I'm not saying that I made a mistake, but in reality, I didn't use the good method. Because it's not to want something on the earth. Why did I want them? Because it's fundamental. Because it was an obligation. because I couldn't do anything else. You see, I was a service somewhere. You have to be honest. You have to be clear. That's why I'm saying that I made a mistake. I should have called them so greatly, because to be in accordance with God is not exactly what I did. To be in accordance with God for me now, with my reasoning now, is to accept to not have what I want. Because I must wait. And maybe it's not me that I need to do it, but it's someone else. And that I have to prepare everything so that someone else can do it. And how do I prepare it? Well, prepare it so great in the invisible worlds, in the worlds of the heart, to want with the heart, to live it with your thought, to make it appear, to communicate it. Because very often, my friends, I wanted things for me. But if we wanted it together, that would have been great. No. It's a reflection that is for me, okay? Maybe my experience can help you. That's what I'm telling myself, because we can only know what we've gone through ourselves. And I'm asking myself these questions now that I see the seal of money that is so beautiful. You cannot do anything with money, but you can do it with love. You can do it with conviction. You can do it with intelligence. You can do it with beauty. That you can do with greatness. With friends. But if you do with money, it's poor, it's ridiculous, it's nothing. You can do it how I did it with a great... there was enormous. I would... Okay, go and construct, but there, that's how I did it. And determination. And I was saying, honestly, I didn't really care, so you can't do anything anymore. Even more, you're true, you're clear, you're in absolute honesty. There it hurts. And it hurts. Is it well done for God? I don't know. For us, it was indispensable. And you know, these worlds would say no to the nation. It's not to me that I'm speaking of. It's to the entire humanity. And Jesus was perfect on the earth, but he loved the humans too much. So it's not well seen by the spirit worlds. You must only live for God and only do them for God. And you must not deturn yourself from God for a human being, and even to help a human being. Because God is great and God is perfect, and you must only do it for the will of God. There. And I must look inside of me, in front of the seal of money, all these things, and I see that when God wants something, he has it. And if man wanted God altogether, God would appear. And that system there, it doesn't serve anything to say that it's good or not. It could be better. There's things that are good. There's things that are admired. Generosity, sharing, commerce. If there wasn't beings that were slithering between to steal and usurp, it would be a marvel, and life on earth would be a splendor, but not materialistic, because life uniquely materialist will always be a degradation and unsuccess. If there's not soul, we would lose a taste in things and value. We would lose happiness. Would always be degraded. It's terrible. Because you know you have banks like Crédit Agricole in France who would go see the countrymen say that it would be false, a small interest. But you have to consume all of these products. So they were associated with agriculture and all the chemical enterprises, and then they are dead. So it was only to take, to destroy agriculture, to destroy, and then to service them, to destroy how to do things. Look at these things, and then when you know this, then you are not against it because you understand. But you're more cautioned. You have to detach yourself. You must not put your hope in these worlds, because you will really make a mistake. And the more you'll be clear and honest with yourself and what you see, the more these beings around will perceive it, and it's paradoxical. They're going to want to come and help you, because we're always poor from foolishness and rich of intelligence. And I can guarantee you, when someone knows how to do things and possesses richness and gold, worlds really start to come and respect him. It's incredible to see this. It's your soul that is the real richness. An engagement, a promise, is worth more than all the money of the world, and it's was said in the Gospels. You want this? Yes, I want this. Then sign and bow. But it's a right. It is a right. And I make it rise. And I make it rise and rise and rise. Who has the right to do this? Come on. And I stop you from constructing it yourself. 3 million people without a home. And behind it, you cannot even imagine the amounts of money. The end, we even pay it to you, give it to you. Who pays it? Mutuals. That now, after, it's integral pillage of work, of health, of family, and money, God, faith, value, happiness, greatness, sharing, beautiful life, generosity, richness, love. Everything comes from this there. It is my prayer for Uriel, and so that you can be clear when you offer something to God, be loyal and never give discontent. Never bring the world of men. And be discontent in the world of men. Who cares? But not be it. Because discontent and then enters inside of you and they want it because they weaken you. May the seal of money be beautiful, great, pure. May you be rich, rich. May richness be on you. Accept it. Accept richness. Accept the richness inside of you. To know who you are, what belongs to you, and what doesn't belong to you. What will be yours eternally, and what will never be yours. Even if you want it, this is in despair, it won't be. So know things, and you will be in richness.